Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine a vast icy expanse, maybe often overlooked, right? Suddenly becoming this focal point of international intrigue, intelligence operations. That's Greenland right now.
Right.
And the ripples are reaching far beyond its shores, especially for North America.
Absolutely.
Today, we're diving deep into recent U.S. activities in Greenland. I mean, everything from alleged intelligence gathering to these covert influence campaigns.
Right.
And we're exploring how this sort of frosty geopolitical dynamic is creating some pretty significant implications, particularly for Canada.
Exactly. Our mission today is, well, to cut through the noise. We want to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge from recent reports, official statements.
You're right to it.
Get right to it. Give you a clear, rapid, thorough understanding of the complex layers here. You know, geopolitics, security, resource competition playing out in the Arctic. They'll explore the what, the why, and crucially, what does this all mean for you, our listeners, and for our allies and neighbors in the region.
Like a shortcut to being really informed.
Think of it that way, Your shortcut.
So let's jump right into the heart of it then. This isn't just theoretical, is it? There's been some very real, very public activity.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's maybe start with a timeline of what actually happened this year, just to paint a clearer picture.
Good idea.
Back in May 2025, there was that pretty significant report, Wall Street Journal, I think.
That's the one.
It alleged that the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, had ordered the CIA, NSA, DIA, the big ones, to significantly increase their intelligence collection efforts. In Greenland, specifically.
Right. And the focus?
The reported focus was Greenland's burgeoning independence movement. And the politics, kind of contentious politics, around its natural resources, which are, incredibly rich, untapped.
Yeah. Huge potential there.
So you can imagine the reaction in Copenhagen. Denmark's foreign minister, Lars Løkke Rasmussen, he publicly stated the report worries me a lot.
Understand.
And he emphatically reiterated that principle, we don't spy between friends.
A classic line in these situations, but deeply felt, I think.
And he immediately confirmed the U.S. ambassador would be summoned, called in for an explanation.
And look, that strong reaction from Denmark, it isn't just a one-off diplomatic spat, right? It's steeped in some very specific, pretty painful history. Copenhagen is, well, let's just say extra sensitive now because of past events, things that cut deep.
Like what specifically?
I'm talking about the 2012-14 NSA and Danish FE. That's their Defense Intelligence Service, the undersea cable taps. Remember that?
Vaguely, yeah. Operation Dunhammer.
That's the one, Operation Dunhammer. It involved actively monitoring European leaders. Huge breach of trust between allies.
Right, okay.
So when new allegations pop up, especially about spying in a sensitive place like Greenland, it's not just another incident. It sort of reopens that old wound, makes trust incredibly fragile.
Okay, that historical context really does amplify the current tensions.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, if we fast forward just a few months, August 2025.
Yeah, things didn't quiet down.
No. Another layer to this story. Following a detailed investigation by DR, the Danish broadcaster,
major outlet,
Denmark again found itself summoning the U.S. chargé d'affaires. This time, the allegations were about covert influence.
Influence operations. Okay.
The report claimed 3 Americans, reportedly linked to former President Trump, had been working inside Greenland.
Doing what?
Well, their alleged mission was to sway public opinion, weaken Greenland's ties to Denmark, build local networks. They even mentioned tracking supporters and critics of their agenda.
So pretty direct interference, then.
Seems like it. And Denmark's security service, PET, openly warned that Greenland is a clear target for foreign influence, even though, the U.S. mission denied any state direction for these activities.
Right, the classic denial. It's definitely a complex saga unfolding up there in the high north.
And these things don't happen in a vacuum, right?
Not at all. If we connect this to the broader political signals, these alleged actions, well, they align with certain political rhetoric we've seen from the U.S. side.
For instance?
For instance, back in January 2025, Representative Andy Ogles introduced H.R. 361, famously, or perhaps infamously, dubbed the Make Greenland Great Again Act.
Oh, right. I remember that headline.
Yeah. And this bill specifically authorizes negotiations to acquire Greenland.
Acquire it, like buy it.
That's the authorization, yes. Now, it's really important to clarify its actual status here.
Okay.
It remains only introduced in committee. It hasn't moved any further. It's not law.
So it's sitting there.
It's sitting there. And, crucially, both Denmark and Greenland's leaders have repeatedly stated, unequivocally, Greenland is not for sale.
Firm stance.
Very firm. So while there's legislative talk, political pressure, the practical reality and the definite position of Greenlanders and Danes is quite different.
That's a critical distinction to make. Okay, so it begs the fundamental question then. Why Greenland? Why this vast, icy island that often feels so remote? Why is it suddenly attracting such intense international attention and, bringing it closer to home? What does this all mean for Canada? What makes it such a linchpin?
Well, what's fascinating here is how Greenland is fundamentally, geographically and strategically, married to North American security.
Married? How so?
Its location is just absolutely crucial for the defense of the entire continent. Think about it.
Okay.
Air and missile tracks heading toward North America. Greenland's position directly impacts their trajectory, their detection.
It's right over the top.
Exactly. And it's home to Thule Air Base. Hugely vital strategic outpost for space tracking, early warning systems.
Still operational, still critical.
Absolutely. Beyond defense, Greenland sits right next to critical Arctic sea lanes, routes that are becoming more and more accessible as the ice melts.
Shipping routes, yeah.
And perhaps a significant driving factor, maybe the driving factor for a renewed U.S. interest, is Greenland's immense untapped potential for rare earths.
The mineral.
And other critical minerals. Resources essential for everything from, our smartphones to electric vehicles, advanced defense tech.
So it's a nexus.
It's truly a nexus of security, resources, and geography, all converging in a rapidly changing Arctic.
That paints a very clear picture of its strategic value.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, for you, our listener, let's explore the direct, the tangible implications these developments have for Canada specifically. Okay. This isn't just distant geopolitics. This really brings the conversation home, right, to Canada's doorstep.
Indeed. And I think we can break it down into 5 key implications that Canada really needs to consider very seriously.
Okay, let's hear them. Number 1.
First, let's talk about Arctic and North American defense. Plain and simple. Any intelligence friction between the U.S. and Denmark or Greenland.
Like the spying allegations.
Exactly. Or any unilateral moves by the U.S. and Greenland that can directly affect NORAD's threat picture.
How directly?
It means Canada might have gaps in its understanding of incoming air or missile threats. Affects how quickly, how effectively NORAD can respond.
Reaction time, yeah.
It also impacts basing decisions, the rhythm of data sharing with Ottawa. And remember, Canada is already investing tens of billions in NORAD modernization.
The over-the-horizon radar, things like that.
Precisely, Arctic over-the-horizon radar. These tensions just add complexity and potentially cost to those already huge efforts.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Any instability up there directly impacts the whole North American defense system.
Beyond that immediate defense picture, are there other vulnerabilities Canada needs to be, keenly aware of?
Absolutely. The second major implication is subsea cable exposure. This is critical infrastructure.
Underwater cables.
Yep. There's a vital fiber optic link called Greenland Connect. It runs between Nuuk and Kortok in Greenland.
Okay.
And then stretches across to Newfoundland and Labrador via Iceland.
Directly connecting to Canada. Directly. So if U.S., Danish, or even, third country intelligence services increase their operations around Greenlandic or Danish cables, well, there's a plausible spillover risk.
Spillover, meaning?
Meaning risk to traffic touching Canadian networks. This immediately raises counterintelligence concerns, cyber defense worries, privacy issues for Canadian carriers, critical infrastructure.
So, potential eavesdropping or disruption.
The potential vulnerability is certainly elevated. Now, to be crystal clear, this is a technical exposure that needs mitigation. We're not saying there's evidence it's currently happening.
Got it. Risk assessment needed.
Exactly. But the potential is there, given the heightened activity.
That's a crucial distinction. But yeah, the potential ramifications are still significant for Canada's digital backbone. What about the diplomatic side, the ripple effects there?
That leads us straight to the third point. Diplomacy, allied trust, and Arctic governance. Look, Denmark isn't Five Eyes, but it is a critical NATO ally.
Right.
And a pivotal Arctic partner within the Kingdom of Denmark structure.
Important relationship for Canada.
Very. So public disputes over alleged spying, covert influence ops. They can easily, poison allied trust. That phrase keeps coming up.
Undermines relationships.
It really does. And this erosion of confidence, it can significantly complicate Canada's efforts to build consensus, strong coalitions within the Arctic Council.
Makes cooperation harder.
Much harder. And it makes it tougher to get European support for broader Arctic governance, an area where Canada really wants international cooperation and stability.
Okay, so these actions, they're not just about Greenland in isolation. They have this kind of cascading effect on broader international cooperation, Canada's ability to shape the Arctic's future.
Precisely.
And with all this renewed interest, I imagine competition for resources must also play a big role. That mineral wealth you mentioned.
Exactly. That's the fourth implication. Critical minerals and shipping competition. The renewed U.S. focus on Greenland's vast potential for critical minerals, plus the increasing viability of Arctic sea routes. It just intensifies competition with Canada's own ambitious critical mineral strategy and its Northern Corridor plans.
Canada wants to develop its own Arctic resources, too.
Absolutely. And this isn't just theoretical. If the U.S. fast-tracks development of, say, Greenlandic rare earth deposits, Canada could see its own projects lose market share.
Or face political pressure.
Or face pressure to align its critical mineral strategy with U.S. security objectives, maybe get certain conditions attached. It really turns the Arctic into an economic battleground for these vital resources.
Impacting everything from electronics to green energy. Wow.
It's significant.
Okay, so what's the ultimate takeaway then? For Canada's domestic policy, its relationship with Washington.
Well, that brings us nicely to the fifth and final implication we identified, domestic politics and defense burden sharing.
The spending question.
Always the spending question. As Washington sharpens its Arctic demands, puts greater emphasis on North American security. Well, pressure on Ottawa to spend more and faster on defense will very likely grow.
Where specifically?
Particularly on those NORAD radar upgrades we talked about, ISR capabilities, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, bolstering cyber defenses, improving northern infrastructure, which is hugely expensive.
Yeah.
So you can expect louder U.S. asks. And potentially less patience from Washington regarding Canada's defense spending targets.
More pressure on Ottawa to meet NATO targets, perhaps?
That's certainly part of the underlying current, yes.
All right, let's switch gears just a bit. Beyond these, very tangible challenges, there's another piece of rhetoric floating around.
Yeah.
It's more sensational, maybe, but we need to address it.
Okay.
People might be hearing whispers, even jokes sometimes, about Canada becoming the 51st state. Is that a real actionable policy plan? Or is it just political theatrics?
Short answer, no.
Definitive no.
Definitive no. It's absolutely not an actionable policy pathway. This is firmly in the realm of rhetoric, political pressure. It's not a viable process that could ever happen without the full democratic consent of Canadians.
So, pure talk.
Pretty much. Look, former President Trump has floated the idea, right? Canada as the 51st state. He even tied it to his proposed Golden Dome missile defense scheme.
I remember that. The idea was Canada pays billions or joins the U.S. for it free.
Exactly. U.S. $61 billion. Or join up for free. But again, that's talk. Pure speculation. It's not law. It's not serious policy.
So it's not just about political will then. It's like legally and constitutionally impossible right now.
Precisely. Constitutionally, politically, such a move would need Canadian consent, probably a national referendum, maybe a major constitutional change on Canada's side.
Huge hurdles.
Massive. And on the U.S. side, it would also need U.S. congressional approval. There is simply no bilateral process underway or even being discussed that even remotely resembles that.
So reports frame it as
provocative rhetoric, designed to exert pressure, not a viable near-term policy. And let's not forget that separate House bill, H.R. 361, about Greenland.
Right, the Make Greenland Great Again Act.
Even that only authorizes negotiations. And as we said, it's stuck in committee. Greenland and Denmark say not for sale.
Okay.
So in both cases, the rhetoric is way, way ahead of the reality.
Good to clarify that definitively. Okay, so given all these complex dynamics, intelligence ops, economic competition, political rhetoric, what are the practical steps? The concrete actions Canada is recommended to take right now to secure its interests, enhance its resilience in the Arctic.
Well, the analysis suggests a pretty clear path forward. 4 practical steps Canada can implement.
Okay, step 1.
First, immediately harden subsea and terrestrial routes touching the north.
Back to those cables.
Back to the cables. This means tasking Canada's key security and intelligence agencies, CSE, CSIS, ISEDC, along with the telecom carriers.
The companies that own the infrastructure.
Exactly. Task them to refresh their risk assessments for those Greenland-linked cables and their landing stations, scrutinize telemetry data, ensure lawful intercept safeguards are robust, enhance anomaly detection.
And work with Greenland and Iceland.
Absolutely critical. Requires direct collaborative coordination with TUSAS, Tele Greenland, Icelandic operators. These are shared vulnerabilities, need shared solutions.
Okay, shore up the digital infrastructure. Cooperate internationally. Makes sense. Second crucial step.
Second, Canada needs to accelerate NORAD modernization deliverables.
Get that radar built faster.
Not just the physical sighting for the Arctic over-the-horizon radar, but also significantly improving data fusion capabilities.
Yeah.
Bringing all the intelligence streams together effectively, and bolstering cyber shielding for critical systems.
Protecting the systems themselves.
Yes, and critically, ensuring dual-key governance.
What does that mean exactly?
It means for any Arctic basing changes that might be triggered by these Greenland developments, Canada maintains shared control and decision-making power with the U.S. on Canadian soil. No unilateral U.S. control over assets in Canada.
Got it. Dual key. Sounds absolutely essential for sovereignty, strategic control. And what about the diplomatic side, especially with Denmark and Greenland?
Third, Canada should tighten Ottawa-Nuuk-Copenhagen channels. Really strengthen those connections. The recommendation is to create a standing Arctic security and infrastructure working group, Canada Kingdom of Denmark.
A permanent forum.
A permanent, formalized group focused specifically on counter-influence efforts, governance of critical minerals extraction, enhancing that cable resilience we talked about.
Keeps the conversation going consistently.
Exactly. It builds a robust, consistent framework for communication, cooperation on these really sensitive, interconnected issues. Fosters trust, ensures shared understanding, rather than just reacting to crises.
That seems like a very proactive diplomatic step.
Yeah.
Stability, shared interests. Okay, what's the final piece of advice for Canada navigating this complex landscape?
The fourth step is perhaps more nuanced. It's to depoliticize defense cost-sharing narratives.
Manage the message around spending.
Essentially, yes. Offer transparent milestones on Arctic spending. Show clear progress and investment to undercut any public pressure tactics from Washington about Canada not pulling its weight.
Be upfront about the investments being made.
Exactly. But simultaneously, Ottawa needs to carefully safeguard its Canadian sovereignty rhetoric for domestic audiences. It's a balancing act.
How so?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about strategic communication, managing perceptions, both internationally and domestically, as much as it is about actual capability and spending, asserting national interest while carefully navigating allied demands.
A delicate dance, indeed. Okay, so let's bring it all together. What does this all mean? We've seen clear, documented 2025 activity, right? A U.S. intelligence push around Greenland, these alleged Trump-linked influence ops that Denmark publicly protested very strongly.
Very publicly.
Yet that idea, that notion of Canada becoming the 51st state,
Yeah.
that remains firmly in the realm of rhetorical pressure, not actionable, realistic policy.
That sums it up well. And the bottom line, really, from our sources is that Canada's best strategic move is to proactively treat the Arctic as this comprehensive whole-of-government challenge. Security, infrastructure, diplomacy, all interconnected.
Don't silo the issues.
Exactly. And lock in resilient, strengthen partnerships before that rhetoric we talked about turns into undeniable leverage against Ottawa, which really leaves us pondering a bigger question, doesn't it, for all of us to consider.
As the ice thins, as global interest in the Arctic just keeps intensifying, how will this subtle dance, this interplay of diplomacy, intelligence, economic competition, how will it shape the future of this vital region? And, what new alliances or maybe new tensions might emerge from its frozen depths?